It is a contemplation moment and cacao time. And I wanted to share some thoughts that, hi beloveds, it's Katerina here. I wanted to share with you some thoughts. Oh, Patricia, Mariam, welcome beloveds. Welcome to this space of the heart. And this phrase, hi Angela, this phrase that I named this live stream comes from a beloved teacher who is not in form anymore, Ram Dass. Let me know in the comments if you are familiar with his transmissions, his teachings, his books, his lectures. Ram Dass. One of his last books that I acquired called Still Here. And it's his book about his elderly years and how he was making peace with a different chapter in his life. Yeah. So I highly recommend it. Another really amazing book that touches your soul so deeply called Polishing the Mirror. Yeah, go to Ram Dass. So there's this conscious network that's called Gaia. I highly recommend all of my wisdom lovers to dive into Gaia. I practically live there. Whenever I turn down my projector and watch something at home, it's usually documentaries or consciousness talks, anything that feeds my soul, anything that fuels my soul. And there's these short video series by Ram Dass. They are 3 minutes long, 4 minutes long. And they're so beautiful, they're so well made with video clips and the voice of Ram Dass. And on one of those talks, he said, there is a place inside of you that is never afraid. And the aim of all spiritual practice is to touch that place as often as possible. And I wanted to offer that to you if it resonates, because that's what have been supporting me in the last couple of months. There has been so much transformation in the field. I have had so many conversations with people who are on a real crossroads of life. And not only that, going through some deep shedding of the old that looks like death of the old, leaving the familiar behind and not seeing what's next just yet. And that place that I call the gap, that's where the fear can feel really intensely, because we are being invited by life to dive deeper into that core, right? Hi everyone, whoever's joining with me here, thank you for being here. And the words of the teachers who've made real impact in the world, they support me so deeply, and I wanted to offer it to you because all of us, while we are in a human form, all of us will feel afraid, will feel uncertain, will feel wobbly in our strength and our vision and our power. And I'd like to normalize that more and more and more. I'd like to really share with you that that is a human condition, right? And all of the experience of life invite us to connect to a different layer of our being. And it's called the witness, right? The witness consciousness that's able to observe our personal self, our personality. our personal movie. Hi, dear beloved. And as I started this live stream with the words of Ram Dass, there is a place inside every single one of us that is never afraid. That place is not our personal self. Our personal self is a very fragile construct. I feel the older we become, the more we realize that truth. Our personal, separate self is a part of us that wakes up and feels the pressure, right? The pressure of our human responsibilities, the pressure of other people's expectations from us, who we get to be for them, and the pressure of external forces of nature, whether it is war that is happening in another country or economy going through massive roller coaster, right? So our personal self feels the pressure from every corner. And if we only root it in our personal self, life is frightening and life is really fragile. So the aim of spiritual practice is to remove the illusion of separateness, and to connect us to the witness consciousness that plays deep inside, that is not afraid, that plays deep inside, that can feel at all, and choose to engage with reality from the place of connection, right? From the place of connection. I had a conversation with my fellow, personal reality, right? So beloveds, whenever I step into service, whether holding space for others or being on video like right now, I connect to that witness consciousness, right? And that's when the fear dissolves. Even if my body feels butterflies, even if my body feels like, oh my gosh, here I am in the spot, connecting, sharing, communicating. My practice is to remain connected to a much bigger reality. And when I channel my spirit guides, and we all have access to our spirit guides, all it takes is that listening, right? For months, I have been connecting to my guides and transcribing their messages. And just recently, I leaned into a deeper layer of that curriculum, of actually recording transmissions on my phone. And it's so vulnerable. I have never experienced approaching a deeper layer of my true soul gifts without touching a deeper layer of vulnerability that comes with it. It comes together. So many times in the past, I had this idea that you're approaching your genius and you're approaching the source of your light, the source of your energy. And it's true. That's what we're meant to discover on our path, because as Pablo Picasso said, the purpose of life is to find our gift. The meaning of life is to give it away. So there's this 2 stages of that process, right? First, we are driven by this deep inner seeking to find our true gift. What is our true gift? And when we begin to see the glimpses of it, we begin to discover that gift. There is a spontaneous desire to share that gift, to give it away, so others can benefit, others can be uplifted through the gifts that we carry. But the crucial piece that comes with this process is vulnerability, right? Vulnerability is the other side of courage. And it would do it injustice to only speak about courage without naming the vulnerability. So what always supports me is connecting to that witness consciousness that plays deep inside of me, that is not afraid. And then holding my human, holding my personal self and saying, yes, I see how you can be afraid. I see how you can doubt. And that's all right. Something bigger, my witness consciousness, will hold all of this. Oh, beloveds, I have been reflecting a lot on, when the fear comes up, it usually comes up when we experience a contrast of this plane of reality. At any point of our day, contrast presents itself, right? The positive and the negative, the uplifting and not so uplifting. And the aim of spiritual practice, or the aim of spiritual path, as I am discovering that, is to maintain that witness consciousness and to see both as valuable. Walking the path of an educator, like some of you who are here with me on this live stream. Walking the path of weaving spaces for others to grow and to transform, and working with people in different capacities. What I want to name is that if you are walking that path, I want you to know that you will experience both sides of that path. Just today, I received a voice note from somebody who was telling me on the voice note how my comments and my support and the teachings that come through my vessel have impacted that person's life at the very, very core, and supported and transformed them. And this person was expressing gratitude, right? And it felt so good to my heart. And then minutes later, I received an email from another person saying, I'm not in resonance with what you teach. I'm not a fit. I'm not in alignment. So I am gonna leave one of your containers. And my heart was like, what could I do better, right? And what I'm realizing, beloveds, it is really out of our hand. People will come, people will stay, and people will go. Are you able to maintain your witness consciousness and your devotion to your path in spite of all? Are you able to cultivate peace in the midst of contrast, in the midst of duality, in the midst of great courage you feel in your heart and the deepest vulnerability? And what can sustain that process is that place inside your heart that is not attached, that is lucid in awareness, that is clear, that is anchored in the truth of your heart. You see, as humanity, we're going through great mutation right now. Great mutation. And I've been going through great mutation as well, because at every spiral of soul ascension, there is revealed a new layer of your assignment, of your true assignment. And from as early as I remember, I've been fascinated by the topic of my true assignment. There was a chapter in my life where I was making the most amount of money I've ever made in my life, was traveling to the most exquisite places, dating very famous and very rich men. And on the outside, the picture looked spectacular. But on the inside, my soul was dying, because my soul was not connected to my true assignment. And all of that glamour and glitter and all of those festivities could only satisfy my soul on a very temporary level. And the soul kept knocking and knocking and knocking and saying, keep asking, where is my true purpose? Because the purpose of life is to find your gift. And the meaning of life is to give it away. So I knew I had to walk that path. I had to walk the path of deep search for 10 years, knowing that engaging in my life on the surface will never satisfy my soul, will never satisfy my soul. So I kept choosing the path less traveled. I kept choosing the path of consciousness. I kept choosing the path of light, the path of seeing the wholeness of this human experiment, this adventure of consciousness. And this path led me here. This path led me here, and it is so powerful to walk the path that is truly meant for you. It connects you to this truly sustainable fuel, the fuel of your soul, knowing that you are living in the flow with the great intelligence. And every day you make a choice. You make a choice to believe in your separateness, or you make a choice to walk, breathe, act from the place of embodied oneness. And then there's this beautiful jewel of experience called detachment, where you're fully present, you're fully devoted, fully present, fully devoted, but you also cultivate that sweet detachment. You are not losing your balance from praise or from criticism. You're anchored to something so much deeper. And when I am supporting my fellow teachers to get their work online, the number one reason people shy away from this path? It's not because they're not able to crack the strategy or to develop skills. It's because it is so tender at times, so tender to put yourself out into the public space guided by the vision and the calling of your soul, and to open yourself up to this real vulnerability, to receive a contrast of a feedback. Some people will love you and say, "Thank you for changing my life. Your light guided me through the deepest darkness." And some people will say, "Thank you. This is not for me. I'm not in resonance with this." And your ability to stay anchored in your truth without shrinking and without boxing you in. Because the mechanism of the ego that I'm watching in myself is this old way of, let me change who I am to make me more digestible for you. Have you ever been there? And you're shying away from the fullness of your expression. You're shying away from the fullness of your truth. What I'm discovering, beloveds, if you're truly here for the path of the full liberation of your soul, you will continue to expand the energy of your field. And some people will continue to expand with you, and some people will say, "Thank you," on the level of the soul. My journey with you is complete. And practice the sweetness of touching that place in your heart that is neutral, that it says, okay. Then it's just like romantic relationships, right? I was contemplating on romantic relationships in a very similar way. When I look back, when I was just getting my feet wet in that curriculum called The Art of Relating. And there was so much grasping in my consciousness, especially when I would meet somebody who I would see as my equal. It's always been my prayer to be with a romantic partner that I feel equally met on the level of spirit, the level of intellect, the level of vision, right? And of course, eros. And I remember the very first time I met a person that I said, "This is my true match. This is my equal." And I didn't have the training. I didn't have the experience of being in evolutionary relationship. That, of course, it lasted very, very short way. But it was a powerful mirror to show me how much grasping was involved immediately. How much the conditioning of the society that says, when you meet the one or the one for you, hold on to them tightly. Don't tell them that. But on the inside, right, you just want to hold, grasp, attach. And we suffocate love. We suffocate the fluidity of connection because no one belongs to us. They only belong to their own higher self, to their own path. So cultivating that spaciousness within the heart, right? Being a welcoming oasis for people to come and sit in the presence of your being, that can be like a fresh spring for others to rejuvenate people's souls. And once they rejuvenate, some of them will be complete with that rejuvenation, and you can say thank you for sharing this moment with me. And some will be your lifelong voyagers. You know, I just said goodbye to one of my best friends of 15 years. We've been through so much together. And yes, I'm smiling and I'm also grieving. It's both, you know, having a capacity for both, for joy and grief at the same time. That's the curriculum that I'm finding myself in. So one of my best friends, I was helping her move, helping her pack. And we met 15 years ago when I was just 1 month after my divorce. And it was a very dynamic time of my life where I rebelled against a lot of things. I rebelled against the marriage that was suffocating my soul. I was rebel against societal rules that told me, be a good girl and don't lean into your edges. Don't explore anything outside of cultural norm. And in my soul, I just wanted to say, fuck it. I want to know my true path. I want to know my true essence. And my true essence is not in the box. I want to break through the box. I want to find my truth. And 15 years ago, I stepped on that path of breaking a box after a box after a box within me and outside of me. And very few were companions on my path at that time. I found Burning Man community that was so inclusive, that was so radically welcoming, that was celebrating your uniqueness, that was celebrating your authenticity. You could bring all of you. And then I met my best friend. And, you know, what I immediately connected to her is her authenticity. She was so authentic being herself that actually when I first met her, it triggered me because I still had a mask. You know, I still was afraid to lay down the mask. And I remember meeting her and her authenticity was triggering for me. And I said, who is that? And deep inside I heard, who does she think she is? So when we rise in our authenticity, it will be a medicine for some and bitter trigger for others. And if we only want to be the medicine, we are missing half of the picture. What if our service is being both? And letting go of control, letting go of attachment, but truly getting into that place deep inside that is not afraid. That when our authenticity and our light is received as a trigger for somebody, it's a hidden medicine for their soul that they may not see right away. They may not see ever. But you know that you are standing in integrity with your soul. People-pleasing persona dies really slow. You know, I've been shedding that persona for many years. You know, this part of me that wants to please, that part of me that wants to put myself back into the box. But I know that's the path of slow death. That's the path of killing your radiance, killing your voice, killing your service. So I see with my witness consciousness, I acknowledge that part and I say, oh, you're just afraid. It's okay. And I activate the witness consciousness that can hold space for all of it. So beloveds, when people ask me, how do you take your physical presence, the essence of your soul, and transmit it on the camera? Because the world is virtual, right? The big part of the world is very virtual. And if you have a message, you have a voice, you have a gift to offer, and you're shying away from sharing it online, it is because there is fear, right? There's fear. And it's okay to feel that. But then once you feel it, once you be with that fear, you ask yourself, what is bigger than the fear? What is bigger than attachment? And you know what's bigger? The truth of your soul, the truth of your authenticity. Because your authenticity, no, I'll rephrase that. Any artificial intelligence content can ever match the authenticity of a human being's soul. And this is what I'm seeing from my 6-3 perspective human design, Gene Keys. I really enjoy scanning the quantum field, tracking to what's happening, witnessing so many people going through a place of deep recalibration, deep reinvention of their voice, of their message, of their leadership, right? So many are in the gap of reinvention. And in the place of reinvention, there is this invitation for a deeper truth, for a deeper authenticity, right? So let me know. Hi, beloveds, whoever's here with me. I'm drinking cacao lately, twice a day. I have these cacao sessions where I sit and listen to the field. And so my best friend of 15 years right now is driving 10 hours with her baby to be closer to her mother, to receive support, and to enter a different chapter of her life. And for 7 years we were close to each other. For 7 years we were only 30 minutes drive away. And you know how when you have access to something, eventually you'll stop valuing it? It's a human condition. So when we were giving each other the final hugs, we were both crying because we've been through surgeries together. We've been through breakdowns, breakthroughs. We've been through starting our businesses, growing our businesses, stabilizing our businesses, right? She met me right after divorce. She's seen my most rebellious, wild chapter where I truly did not give a crap about a lot of things. She held space for me when I was going through my rapid process of self-destruction where I lost meaning for my life. I got lost in addiction because of pain, of pain of not being connected to your true purpose. There is always a pain. And she held space for it all, and she never judged me, because what I find, supporting others who are going through intense death and rebirth, it's often my curriculum. I often hold space for people in the dark, not only during their massive expansion, where you hold space to stabilize expansion. That's one way you serve people. But also there is a deep service of helping somebody in the deep darkness. And it's the empathy, it's compassion, it's silent communication that says, I trust you. You are diving deep into your soul right now, and I trust you. I trust your process so unconditionally that I'm lovingly holding space, and I am not lecturing, I am not giving advice. I'm not feeling pity. I'm feeling incredible sense of reverence for your process. That's what my friend gave me, when I was going through my darkness after my divorce 15 years ago, and going through my rebel stage, going through giving a big middle finger to society and all its rules. And she kept seeing my essence. She kept seeing a woman that is in front of you right now. And she said, never for a moment I did not see your true self. I did not see your liberated self. So the gift of an opportunity of being visible with our voice online is to tell real stories, to transmit our energy. Because you never know who is going through a dark chapter that is listening. You never know, And so many times, beloveds, usually it tends to happen at the end of the year, when people write me messages and they say, been watching your content all year. I never commented. I never even engaged. But thank you for giving a voice to the topics that are difficult to name, because that gave me courage to meet another day. So the purpose of our incarnation, beloveds, from the words of Ram Dass. Gosh, what a powerful soul. What a powerful soul. He met his guru that was a living avatar. And he said that when he met him in India, he approached his field. He approached his energy field and was met with such power of unconditional love that all of his secrets, all of his fears, all of his human glitches, conditioning, all of that have been seen, witnessed, and accepted into love. And he said that he could literally feel his teacher reading his thoughts, looking into the depths of his being. It was so powerful. And then the meeting with that teacher transformed his heart, transformed his consciousness, and initiated him into a new depth of a human curriculum. And when I listen to Ram Dass, I love this grounded wisdom that comes through him. And he says, when you learn to love it all, when you learn to love the ecstatic state of consciousness that you can access, the beauty of the world that move your soul into tears, and when you learn to love the suffering as well, because it's both, it's a contrast, then you begin to engage with reality from the place of the deep, deep place of your essence. And then he says, the aim of incarnation is to remember who we are. Because if we don't remember, we keep returning on this wheel of reincarnation, right? We keep returning. I feel there is a great opportunity for all of us to remind each other about that place within, that witness consciousness that is not afraid. And also learning to share tools and encouragement, and more than anything, our frequency with each other. when our human self and our personal self forgets that place deep inside. And that's the journey, forgetting, remembering. Connecting to the movie of the separateness, awakening to the unity of it all. So what I began to name, and then I got moved into a different direction, was that when I channel my spirit guides, my galactic guides, through automated writing or speaking, they keep giving me this beautiful symbol and this image. They say, keep reminding people to connect to the web, And when I connect to these different teachings, such as Atlantean wisdom, ancient Egyptian wisdom, any kind of deep mystical paths, they all point to this invisible net, divine matrix. Not only 3D matrix, there is a divine matrix that exists. And the true evolutionary leap that we are aiming to take as humanity is for more and more people to connect to that net, to connect to that web. So this is my practice every single day, and sometimes many times a day. I sit down and I anchor my consciousness into this net that has instantaneous communication, instantaneous telepathic communion with every part of the cosmos. Our personal self, human self, gets to access the higher mind, to access that net. And that higher mind, that divine self, is the aspect of us that is not afraid, that is always connected. And then when we are connected to the web, we are guided intuitively, moment by moment. And the guidance comes that says, turn on the camera and share your truth. And the guidance can come, listen and cultivate spaciousness, so your energy field can magnetize what is needed for you. When the guidance can tell, share your poetry, share your dance, share your light, share silence presence, share your history, share your experience. But what I love about connecting people to the web, your guidance comes from the deepest place of that inner alignment and doesn't come from another person. You know, this Aquarian age that we're in right now, Aquarian energy is all about the network. So which network are we plugging in to be supported, to be nourished, to be encouraged, to be uplifted? We always have a choice to connect to the network of 3D, the movie of separation and struggle and fear and insecurity, and putting ourselves into the box to make our energy more digestible. But you know that where this path leads. This path leads to deep, deep disconnection, dissatisfaction. And there is another net. There is a divine matrix where you operate as a quantum being you are, here for the great adventure, here for the great experience of life. So I'll pause here if anyone has comments or questions. Yeah, you're welcome, dear. I see your comments. You know, holding this awareness, holding presence, holding my heart with tenderness, and cultivating the most profound level of trust in the cosmic web that guides all of us. All of us. You know, I keep sharing the transmissions of the gene keys with everybody who is ready for them. because it's a living oracle. And there's a prophecy in the Gene Key 55. If you have not read it, or maybe you read it a while ago, I highly recommend to read it. And it says that between 2012, think about yourself, where you were in 2012, and 2027, there will be this global phenomena that is called a rising of humanity's gifts. More and more people realizing how deeply they have been victimized by their own beliefs. And this deep yearning to break free. A deep yearning to question consensual reality and to ask much bigger questions. So there is a pathway to go from the shadow or survival stage or oppression with our own thoughts, with our own beliefs, to take a creative leap into the heart where our innate genius lies. And our innate genius is beyond competition. It's a frequency. It's not just a set of skills or experiences or magical powers. It's a frequency. And our true frequency is our greatest contribution to the world. Anything we do outside of that is a bonus, is a creative play, right? Our frequency is our genius. So beloveds, if you see your online presence from this perspective, then fear disappears. And I'll do a whole other transmission on how to overcome those annoying voices that says, you are too old for this, or you're not as attractive to be on camera, or you have nothing smart to say, right? Oh my God, those voices are so limiting, and they are not true. They have zero truth. But I'd like to start with this deep alignment to the power of our vibration, to the power of our essence. Because that's what creates a real impact. I was in a conversation with an ally of mine. I like to use the term ally because it has that energetics that is incredibly inspiring. An ally is your peer with whom you feel a nourishing exchange, with whom you have this exchange of you share something and they see it and they feel enriched by your share, and they share something and you feel enriched by their share. And there's this natural enrichment with your true allies. So I was sharing a cacao ceremony. I've been hosting more and more cacao conversations in my house lately, cacao afternoons. Yesterday I had a whole afternoon masterminding in person over cacao. Well, it was one of my allies who's been a leadership expert for many, many years, gave a lot of speeches and talks on enlightened leadership to big corporations. There's a big, level of experience this human being stands on. And what I always resonate about him is humility and embodiment. And he said a couple of days ago, Katerina, there will be a time where change makers are being paid simply for their presence. And that statement really moved me, because when we are in a transformational space, we are the product, we are the service. We bring a field of energy that we cultivated for 20 years, 30 years, right? And sometimes it's so challenging to value your essence. Sometimes it's so challenging to really believe that your essence is what is so magnetic about you. So when he said there's going to be a time when the game changers will be paid simply for being themselves, I deepened that conversation and I had this insight that that time was already here. It's already here, you know? But it starts with us choosing to lead with our essence more and more and more. And our essence is not scripted. Our essence is in the moment. Our essence comes from the depth of our soul. Our essence is a vibration. And the one thing that I'd like to affirm again is that our essence is not going to be in the resonance with everybody. And that's okay. That's okay. But will you continue to transmit your essence knowing that? Or will you try to jam your essence into the box to make it more digestible for many? That's a choice. And that's a choice that I make every single day when I wake up and I say, who will I be today? Where will I come from today? Yesterday is gone. Tomorrow is maybe it will come, but today, what will I transmit today? And why? And where I will come from? Isn't spiritual awakening a journey back to authenticity? It's a process of unmasking. It's a process of welcoming all of your parts home. And I love that every single one of us has a unique perspective on that journey. Every single one of us has a unique story, you know? And I want you to know something. I want to tell you something, that when I was a little girl, there was a chapter in my life where I wanted to become, I was like, maybe I become a priest. I didn't really have much life experience at 8 years old, but imagine, you know, having an energy field that people are drawn to and telling you their deepest life secrets. That's been happening since childhood. And let me know in the comments if you had that experience. So many empaths, you know, it's encoded in our DNA that the energy is so nourishing and welcoming and non-judgmental that people feel like you are the space for them to come up for air. I just wrote this in my email this morning. Another Ram Dass teaching that gave me a huge perspective on the value of the field of guidance. We go through incarnation and we accumulate roles to adjust to the society. There's a role of a student, a teacher, a mentor, an entrepreneur, a parent, a partner, a daughter, a son. And this role comes with possibilities, opportunities, but also deep pressures, deep fears, deep pressures. And if we don't have a space to come up for air, to lay down the roles, right? We're not receiving the nourishment for the soul. We're not receiving that space to regroup. You know, this is why spiritual retreats or community circles are so nourishing. It's a place to come up for air. What if the assignment, you know, I love that word, assignment. a soul task, a curriculum, is to cultivate your field so you become a living environment for other people to come up for air. I'm contemplating deeply on that. Yes, beloveds. So there is a place inside of you that is never afraid. And the aim of true spiritual practice is to connect to that place more and more and more, and then to stay connected. And when you lose connection, not to rush to feel bad about the loss of the connection, but to invite your witness consciousness to see it, right? So there is so much more I could share on this topic, but that's what wanted to be expressed today. And thank you for sharing this space with me. 12:12. It's a beautiful time to close this. I encourage you to believe in the beauty of your essence and then share it in your own unique, wild, authentic way, knowing that it will be a medicine for some and it will absolutely be a trigger for others. But when you are free of attachment, you can simply be yourself. And that's when your essence becomes incredibly powerful.